one can sort of imagine the scene from the spring of 1942 with the lorries parked up this road with people in them waiting to enter the death camp, the manor house, which is just behind the church. And again in the summer of 1944, where people were held in the church, having been unloaded from the railway line to the right and waited to die. There we have what's today where the priest lives, which was then Gestapo headquarters. Death camp on the left, the manor house. We see from Schlammick's report, for example, first day he was taken to the forest, went back up the road to Kowo, he recognised it, but turned off. He said 7 kilometres further up, in fact it's 4.2 kilometres. Trucks that took the dead bodies would use the main road into the forest, as well as this, the smaller road. Although the gas vans were very well known by the locals in the area and called them by appropriate titles like death vans. One sees such a peaceful, idyllic setting, and one remembers though what happened here. 240,000 people murdered in a few months in this place, and 3 converted vans. One of the considerations that we have to make is that it's often considered that the vans actually sort of picked the people up and then they drove down, and by the time they got to the forest the people were dead. That wouldn't have happened, because the van wouldn't have had the power to actually drive. Now we believe that some kind of addition was added to the petrol to make it to poison people. Certain glass bottles have been found which clearly indicate that they were used for poison, although whether or not this was poison which is added to the mix or not, we don't know. But in any case, they wouldn't have had the ability. So what would have happened? What did happen was this: is that the van was driven to it picked the people up. It drove a very short distance, a few meters, stood there. Somebody shouted gas. The gas pipes were connected. They gassed them in this place, and I suspect that when the driver found that he wasn't getting the power to keep dry, he would have known that the room was there was no oxygen left inside the van, and then he would have ordered the pipes disconnected, and then he would have driven to the forest. We know that there were times when people got to they weren't dead because the system didn't work that well. Sometimes the people were still alive, and then they shot them. It could have been when they saw that people were not getting killed, and this means they decided to aid the system by adding poison. A letter was written in March 1942 suggesting new ways. The letter mentions that 97,000 people had so far been murdered using these, but a number of changes had to be put to the vans. And one of them was, first change that was needed was that the light inside the van had to be protected, because that got smashed by people, witches, in their panic. The second thing was that the gas shouldn't come from below but from above. The reason for this is that, and this is clear from all reports that we have, that the vans themselves, that people were usually covered in excrement. They were terrified. As the excrement and other urine and blood and whatever would flow to the ground, this in turn corroded the apparatus which was used for putting the gas into the van. Therefore, the gas had to be introduced from above. Further changes were recommended, which included the amount of load that a car could take. There were problems with, as for example, the balance. So a certain amount of reduction in the size of the car was necessary. Also the height. You couldn't have it too high because it took longer to kill the people.